It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the
Greetings, ladies and lads, and a warm welcome to my last project of the year. Yep, it's crazy how the time flies, and with Christmas being right around the corner, it's about time we start decorating our Christmas tree. Today, we're going to take a spin on the Sylvaneth's Ancient Treelord by transforming him into the fifth spirit of Christmas. We'll take advantage of the sculpt as it is, turning his walking stick into a candy cane, and transforming wooden knots into ice buildup, but also add our own personal touch by wrapping him in fairy lights and Christmas ornaments. It's gonna be a jolly good time. The sculpt of today's miniature is not only the biggest one I've ever assembled on this channel, it also brought with it a whole host of challenges. See, this miniature is lore accurate to a T, or rather to a tree, as this ancient tree lord predates the entirety of Age of Sigmar, first appearing in Ye Olde Warhammer Fantasy for the Wood Elven roster. The assembly really gives you the feeling that this guy was designed by a whole different school of thought than our contemporary miniatures. That, and the fact that the mold lines were extra nasty, wrapping around each and every branch and individual leaf of every single piece. Like, the time I spent just scraping the mold lines off really made me reflect on how thankful we all should be about nowadays casts. As we're aiming for a dark and cold end result, we prime the Treelord black, taking a dark brown for all the muscles behind the bark, as they peek through on the joints, stomach, and throat. The blue establishes the cold temperature of the model, and with some splotches of green contrast, we capture the chlorophyll seeping back into the stump during the winter months. And that's my way of saying that I paid attention during 3rd grade's nature lessons. With this as our base coat, I started to experiment with the next step, dry brushing. We need this to create a convincing wooden texture, but even after a few attempts, I didn't find a tone that looked right to me just now. Let's circle back to that later. In the meantime, we pick up a brownish red and paint all the little leaves dotted around the Treelord. I picked this color to give the miniatures some remnants of late autumn, and with only a couple left on each branch anyway, I think the effect is quite convincing. Finding success with the leaves, I was confident to go all in with another dry brush, this time mixing up a bluish light grey. Again, we are trying to give the entire miniature a convincing rough texture, while this time simultaneously achieving the effect of ice and frost encasing the wood. The only challenge with this is to know when it's enough, as we still want the previous layer to command the tone of the paint job. When we come to the antlers, we revert back to a cleaner technique, painting them in a sandy yellow. They're supposed to stand out against the rest of this model, like a true crown for this lord. Isn't it kinda funny that the wood elves give these magical trees a loincloth to cover their wood? Ha! Keep calm and carry a big stick, am I right? We paint it with a rich red like Santa's coat, which won't be the last similarity between the two, as we turn to his long, luscious beard with a pure white. Some ornamental jewelry and a couple of really fine branches complete the look. Now we come to the aforementioned big stick. I want this thing to look like a giant candy cane, because it's Christmas and I think it's sweet, pun intended. After the white base coat, we take our rich red from earlier again to paint on the iconic stripes. The top needs a bit of creative liberty, but I think we made it work in the end. The bubbly parts peeking through the bark get painted with a clear yellow. This just brings a little more light and attention to the whole thing, and also works really well for the tendrils coming out of it. The bits that we see here are part of the Treelord's understructure, but I think they would be perfect for a bunch of icicles. In fact, I want the whole tree covered by bits of icy buildup. So after painting the long claws of his left hand, we start to hunt for parts of the sculpt that already look like they could fit the description. I had a lot of fun doing this, and it gives the tree such interesting details and character, basically for free, as the structures are already sculpted for us. All the base colors are now in place, so as always, we give the entire miniature a quick black wash to establish shadows and give it more depth. The blue parts get left out here though, because we want to keep their vibrancy. To wash those, we switch to a blue contrast. The first to get highlighted are the antlers. We pick a lighter sandy beige than before and paint them from just the front, leaving the darkened parts turned toward the back of the mini. Next up, we take the brightest white of our arsenal and pick out individual strands of hair to highlight his beard. The white parts of his candy cane were a little more tricky to highlight, as I really wanted to keep quite a lot of the undercoat visible for the structure it gave the whole thing. Once we figured that out though, we could repeat the entire process for the red parts as well. And that's where the easy part of this paint job ends, as we turn our attention to the ice. What's going to be roughly 30 seconds for you was a couple of hours for me, as we start our edge highlights innocently enough with a small brush and some light blue. The plan is to stack multiple layers of paint atop one another to create a gradient that hopefully makes the blue bits look somewhat translucent. We also add some streaks here and there to give the ice its own rugged texture, and let me just say, as cool as the end result looks, doing the same intense painting technique for hours, going over the same areas 4 times, each time with increasing fineness, at 2 in the morning, was a little more strenuous than I anticipated. Would I do it again? Yes. At last, we take the same color palette to take care of his eyes and mouth, and the main bulk of this project is done. Before we move on, I just want to take a short break at this moment to just appreciate the paint job as it is right now. Minus the candy cane stuff, I think we have a really cool Treelord Ancient for the Sylvaneth here. I didn't really expect to be so fond of what I, up until this moment, just thought of as basically a blank canvas for our decorations. But if I ever wanted to paint a wood elven army with a winter scheme, something that I never thought could possibly look good, this is definitely the way I would go about it. Alright, ready to decorate him? The most important thing every Christmas tree needs is lights. Doesn't matter if candles or light bulbs, as long as it shines. I started building our fairy lights by taking a very thin wire and tying, yes, tying, it to the bottom branch of our Treelord. I then wrapped it around in spirals up his leg and round his torso. If you hang your fairy lights like this, consider yourself an op. On the back, I went a bit wild with the pathfinding, just letting it droop in large curves from the many branches. A drop of super glue here and there to hold it in place, and we can go on to form the light bulbs. Using Das is air drying clay, a really cool material to work with and do simple pottery on a budget if you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I worked with it once before, so how difficult can these tiny ornaments really be? For the light bulbs, I want to have them in this kind of teardrop shape, which is how we have them in my family. This shape shouldn't really be hard to form, But as it turns out, it actually is really hard to do it in a sensibly small scale. At one point I even gave up and tried doing it with green stuff instead, but that wasn't much better. And of course, we need a whole boatload of these things. While we're already at it, we also form the other ornaments, like the humble Christmas ball and some candy canes, which I didn't make a lot of, for I think obvious reasons. The balls were refreshingly easy, up until my girlfriend said they would look much nicer if they had a proper hook attached. But do you know how much more work there would be? Anyways, this is how they looked in the end. Having formed all the ornaments, it's time to hang them and myself right alongside. Because holy shit, did it take a long time. With the weight of the clay and barely anything to stick to, it took me 5 to 10 minutes to glue on each light bulb. I'll let you do the math on that one. What you see here on video is straight propaganda. The balls, on the other hand, were a lot easier to hang, thanks to the hook. And the candy canes already are in form of a hook. So yeah, an entirely different beast to the light bulbs. I also dug out this High Elven star from my bits box, to hang it between the Lord's uppermost antlers. With all the ornaments in place, it's time to paint them. I really did like the golden shine of the wire at first, but now we just painted black, for it to look like nothing more than an ordinary cable. For the lights themselves, I do want to give them somewhat of an OSL shine, but those only really work when you paint the surrounding area as well. I didn't want to risk ruining the model, so this gradient is the best I can do here. For the Christmas balls, we just want to keep them classic, with a color scheme of full red or green, and a coat of gloss to make them shine like the real deal. Same for the candy canes, nothing wild. The star on top though, I wanted to have fun with, mixing up an orange gradient that gets brighter toward the center, and then taking a dark brown for the edge highlight. And that is how we finish this project, with a proper Herrenhuter star. And there he is, our 5th forest spirit of Christmas. Coincidentally, he also marks the 5th painting video of this year as well, which is something that I only found out when Theinrich pointed it out to me.
Oh god, dude. This year you released 4 painting videos.
4?!
4 painting videos.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of sad. I'm sorry.
No, this can't be true. Yeah, dude, I keep checking your channel for new stuff.
Oh no.
Oh no!
I just broke the fucking worldview.
This year was definitely more quality over quantity. Realistically speaking, most of the projects just had too big of a scope for me to handle next to university work, which of course needed to be my main priority. But hey, at least there's no video that feels cheaply produced or otherwise unsatisfying. Coming back to the miniature at hand, I'm all in all quite happy with the results. The Treelord himself looks dope, and the ornaments, for all the trouble they have given me, really make it a unique and memorable project. Though I think there definitely is enough breathing room for maybe a revisit next year. As always, I have listed the names of all the paints that we use for this guy down in the description of the video. And if you're looking for a sweet recipe for some Warhammer-themed cookies that definitely works and isn't a complete hoax, I can only recommend this video, from now 2 years ago, wow. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're already down there, maybe hit the subscribe button for more cool painting videos. As it stands, there's a lot more coming, but it's not like I'ma spam your inbox. Take care and have yourself a merry little Christmas.
And have yourself a merry little Christmas.